Okay, hi, I'm Rob Gibson. This is my studio. We're here at 65 Steinway Avenue in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. I do the original wet plate collodion process. Now that was a process that was used in photography from mid-1850s to up around 1880s or so. It was later replaced with the dry plate process, eventually got into film, and now it's been downhill from there. But the 1800 stuff was, you had to be as much of a chemist as you were an artist. So as you can see with my surroundings here, I have to create all my own chemistry. This isn't for the meek and weak at heart. This is quite an undertaking, just as it was back in the 1800s. First thing I use is called collodion. That's the stuff right here. Nitrocellulose, ether, 190 proof alcohol, iodides and bromides. I make this all myself, and usually takes about 4 or 5 days after I make it for it to actually start working well. I also make our developer, which is a mixture of acetic acid, ferrous sulfate, and 190 proof alcohol. The image first gets coated with that collodion, then it goes into a bath of silver nitrate. It needs to sit down in there for a couple minutes. We pull it out of that silver solution, it goes into a plate holder. I rush to the camera, make the exposure, rush back, and develop it before it dries. Once I've done that, I then put on my developer. I see the image come to life in the darkroom within a couple, I'd say probably around 10-15 seconds. After that, I pour on water, that stops it developing. I bring it out in a bright light, and unlike a modern process, I can fix it out in bright light rather than in the darkroom. The fixer we use is potassium cyanide. Now, it's just as deadly now as it was in the 1800s, so of course we're very careful the way we handle this. But I think it's important to use all the same chemicals, and it does get a product that's exactly the same as it would be in the 1800s. Another issue that's very important to me is lighting. I have a 10 by 10 foot skylight here, so we want to create that same kind of lighting that was used during the 1800s. Many times the quality of the photographs had everything to do with the studio and the way it was constructed. So if you had that nice northern skylight with a diffused light coming in, that gave you that nice pleasing aesthetic that we see in a lot of the Civil War photographs. It wasn't about a bunch of hot lights that were trying to melt your face. Obviously they couldn't do that in the 1800s, but it's important to have that same kind of a look nowadays, even though I can use, a lot more modern lighting that's a lot more powerful. Now the camera I use, I have some dating back to 1862. The one that's sitting next to me here, this is actually turn of the century. This is about 1909. And the Tintype process continued up into the 1930s and 40s. So even though this was something devised in the 1860s, it did make improvements to it. And it was still the only instant form of photography, even after the turn of the century, until Polaroid really came around, and you'd had some people doing card photographs, but still the Tintype was the king of the instant photograph in the 1930s. One of the things that I've worked on, and possibly be able to share a photograph of you with, is my 1939 Harley Davidson package truck. That is a rolling darkroom attached to my 1950 Harley panhead, and this allows me to go out into the field and explore more of that turn of the century 1920s, 1930s aesthetic, and feel welcome in an old-time hot rod show or period bike, vintage bike venue, where we do a lot of these same Tintypes. And we're able to give these guys a look that they've never seen before. I mean, the reenactors are very familiar with what I do. They've been doing, I've been doing this kind of photography since the 1990s. But there's a whole new genre out there that's just really discovering vintage photography for the first time. And I feel fortunate I'm able to do something like that and really break new grounds with an old process.